at 9, Chicago rapper Lil Durk has pleaded not guilty to a murder-for-hire plot in L.A. Reports out of L.A. say Durk, who's...
Stop scrolling right now, because the story I'm about to tell you makes every other rap scandal look like child's play. Lil Durk, the face of OTF, the so-called voice of the trenches, is back in the spotlight. Not for a chart-topping verse, not for another collaboration, no. For a murder-for-hire trial that's got the internet buzzing louder than a DJ Academics livestream. Think about it. Bond denied. New charges added. Lawyers scrambling. Fans are divided. Haters celebrating. And somewhere in between, the media is having the time of their lives, slapping exposed across every headline they can print. But here's the real kicker. How did we get here? How did Lil Durk, the guy who once stood as a symbol of survival in Chicago's drill scene, end up in the middle of a legal saga that sounds more like a Netflix crime series than real life? And what does this mean for the music, the money, and the movement he built? Strap in, because this isn't just about a trial. This is about power, image, reputation, and the kind of drama that doesn't just trend for a day, it rewrites careers. Welcome to the chaos of Lil Durk's biggest scandal yet. When it comes to rap, drama is never too far behind, but even the wildest fans couldn't have scripted this. Lil Durk, once hailed as the voice of Chicago's trenches, is no longer trending for music, for features, or for topping charts. He's trending for something far darker, far more dramatic, and far more cinematic than anything his lyrics ever hinted at. Murder for hire. Bond denied. New charges stacked higher than his jewelry collection. If that doesn't sound like the plot of a Netflix original, then what does? But to really understand why this scandal has hit like a bombshell, you need to rewind the tape. Durk's career has always been entangled with controversy, whispers of the streets, and a reputation that was both his strength and his weakness. He rose from Chicago's drill scene, a world that was raw, dangerous, and unapologetic. That authenticity gave him credibility, but it also painted a target on his back. Every lyric was dissected, every friendship analyzed, and every beef turned into speculation about what he was really involved in. For years, Durk played the tightrope act between rap stardom and street credibility, walking a line so thin you could barely see it. And now, that tightrope has snapped. The scandal broke like a thunderclap. Reports that prosecutors had linked his name to an alleged murder-for-hire plot. Suddenly, every headline screamed his name in bold, capital letters. The internet didn't just react, it exploded. Fans were stunned, critics were smug, and bloggers couldn't type fast enough. Bond denied, they said. Judge unmoved, they repeated. The public ate it up like it was the latest season finale. And why wouldn't they? This was more than a case. This was a spectacle. Durk's past incidents didn't help. Years ago, he and King Von were tied to a high-profile case in Atlanta, a case that dragged their names through courtrooms and tabloids alike. Though charges shifted and narratives twisted, the stain remained. Add in countless rumors of street ties, beefs with rivals, and the endless references in his own music, and suddenly the murder-for-hire narrative felt like the next logical step for people hungry to believe the worst. His reputation didn't just set the stage for scandal, it practically begged for it. Every move he ever made became retroactive evidence. Old interviews resurfaced, with fans claiming his words were confessions in disguise. Lyrics were replayed and quoted like testimony. He told us what he was about, one commenter wrote, racking up likes. Y'all just didn't listen. Others clapped back, reminding the world that rap is art, not autobiography. But in the echo chamber of controversy, nuance dies quickly. The louder voices were the ones painting him guilty before the trial even began. And let's not forget the Bond hearing. That moment became its own subplot in the ongoing drama. Fans hoped he'd be released, that he'd walk free while fighting the charges. But the judge wasn't having it. Bond denied, the headline read, and with those two words the narrative took a darker turn. If he couldn't even secure temporary freedom, what did that say about the weight of the case? Prosecutors painted him as a risk, someone who could tamper with witnesses or vanish if given the chance. The imagery was devastating. Lil Durk, the rap star who once commanded arenas, now locked away, fighting to prove his innocence against a tidal wave of allegations. The whispers didn't stop there. Enter the new charges. As if murder for hire wasn't dramatic enough, reports surfaced that a superseding indictment had added even more to the list. Fans barely understood the legal jargon, but they didn't need to. New charges was all it took to light up the internet. For critics, it was proof of a pattern. For fans, it was proof of a witch hunt. Either way, the story grew legs and sprinted behind the scenes. Anonymous sources claimed the government had been building a case against Durk for years, quietly collecting evidence, watching his every move. Some whispered that his success in the rap game made him untouchable, so investigators dug deeper, determined to drag him down. Others argued the opposite, that his rise made him a target, a convenient scapegoat for a system that never understood drill culture to begin with. Whatever the truth, the perception was undeniable. Lil Durk was trapped in a storm of his own making, and the world couldn't look away. The scandal became water cooler talk, podcast fodder, and endless Twitter threads. Every day, new findings emerged, each more dramatic than the last. Alleged financial records showing shady transfers. Claims of lavish spending meant to mask corruption. A supposed witness ready to testify. Whether any of it was real didn't matter. What mattered was that it fueled the narrative. And so the scandal grew, feeding on itself like a fire that couldn't be extinguished. Bloggers posted clickbait titles with the word exposed in all caps. YouTube commentators uploaded breakdowns with ominous music, zooming in on Durk's old photos as if they were mugshots. Fans debated endlessly in the comments, their arguments turning into digital shouting matches. Was he a victim of a system determined to silence him? Or was he a criminal mastermind who had finally been caught? The jury wasn't even assembled yet, but the court of public opinion had already been in session for months. The irony is that Lil Durk's artistry has always been about survival, about telling the story of a man navigating the chaos of his environment. Now survival has taken on a new meaning. It's no longer about surviving the streets, it's about surviving the scandal. And every headline, every denial, every new charge makes the battle harder to fight. Still, one thing is clear: whether he's guilty or innocent, whether the charges stick or collapse, Lil Durk has once again captured the world's attention. And in the business of fame, attention is everything. The tragedy, of course, is that this attention could cost him everything he's built. The fans are watching, the haters are circling, and the authorities are closing in, which leads us to the next stage of the saga, the so-called investigative breakdown. Because if you thought this was dramatic, wait until you hear about the alleged leaks, the supposed reports, and the anonymous voices ready to spill every secret they claim to know. In a world where perception is reality, these so-called revelations may just decide Lil Durk's fate before the trial even begins. So here's where the so-called investigation gets wild. Because when the headlines about Durk's denied bond and new charges broke, the internet didn't just sit back and wait for official documents. No, the internet did what it does best. It created its own case file. Suddenly, blogs, podcasts, and anonymous insiders were dropping supposed leaks faster than TMZ could refresh their homepage. The first bombshell came in the form of alleged financial leaks. Screenshots of supposed bank transfers surfaced online, showing large sums of money moving through shell accounts with vague labels like consulting fees or entertainment services. According to the rumor mill, these weren't business expenses, they were payments for something darker. It's all right there if you look close enough, one anonymous blogger wrote, circling numbers in red like a detective in a crime drama. Did anyone verify these records? Of course not. But once the screenshots hit Twitter, they were gospel. Then came the so-called witness reports. Some mysterious account with a username like insider_truth88 claimed to have connections in law enforcement. They posted a long thread insisting that prosecutors had a star witness ready to testify against Durk. According to this anonymous hero, the witness wasn't just some random bystander, they were allegedly part of Durk's inner circle. "This case is airtight," the account tweeted, racking up tens of thousands of likes. Was there evidence? None. Was there outrage? Plenty. Fans flooded the comments, either declaring Durk guilty on the spot or swearing this was another case of the system trying to bring down a successful black artist. And just when the noise seemed loud enough, another twist appeared: the rap lyrics theory. For months, prosecutors were rumored to be using Durk's own music as evidence, claiming his lyrics were thinly veiled confessions. Fans on Reddit turned into amateur lawyers, pulling quotes from his songs and lining them up next to alleged incidents. "See? Right here, he basically admitted it," they wrote, as if a rhyme could be treated like a sworn statement. Other fans fought back, reminding the world that art imitates life, but doesn't necessarily confess to it. Still, the debate raged on, fueled by think pieces with titles like, "Can rap be used against rappers?" And "Is Lil Durk rapping his way into prison?" Meanwhile, the blogs had a field day. One posted a so-called exclusive report, claiming they had access to sealed documents that proved Durk was moving money through offshore accounts. Another swore they had leaked emails showing his team scrambling to cover tracks. Every day brought a new leak, and every leak brought a fresh wave of public reaction. And whether people believed them or not didn't matter, because the story had already gone viral. Fans weren't the only ones reacting. Celebrities weighed in too. Some of Durk's peers in the rap game tweeted vague messages of support, writing things like, "Stay strong, bro," or "Prayers up." Others stayed quiet, which only fueled speculation. Why isn't he saying anything? Does he know something? Fans asked, turning silence into suspicion. Even Durk's rivals took advantage, throwing shade in their own subtle ways, knowing full well that the internet would connect the dots. Perhaps the most fascinating reactions came from the public itself. On one side, die-hard fans doubled down, swearing that Durk was innocent and being targeted because of his success. They pointed to systemic issues, racial bias, and a long history of prosecutors trying to make examples out of rappers. On the other side, critics relished in the downfall narrative. "We knew he wasn't clean," they posted, flooding comment sections with smug satisfaction. The divide was clear, and the arguments were endless. Then there were the conspiracy theorists, always ready to take things to the next level. According to them, Durk's case wasn't just about crime, it was about power. Some claimed rival labels had tipped off investigators, hoping to take him down and clear the way for their own artists. Others argued this was part of a bigger government agenda to suppress drill music altogether, painting the genre as a breeding ground for violence. "This isn't about Durk," one viral TikTok creator insisted. "This is about silencing an entire culture." The video racked up millions of views, sparking fiery debates across platforms. And while the theories multiplied, so did the memes. Because in true internet fashion, even the darkest scandals become punchlines. Memes of Durk in an orange jumpsuit flooded timelines, captioned with lyrics twisted into jokes. Others photoshopped him into courtroom sketches or Netflix posters, titling them "The Trial of the Trenches." As much as people were shocked, they were also entertained. And in the age of social media, entertainment often outweighs empathy. But the real turning point came when rumors spread of lavish spending tied to the case. Blogs claimed Durk had been throwing extravagant parties, complete with champagne fountains, luxury cars parked outside, and jewelry giveaways that cost more than most people's homes. He was living like a king while plotting like a criminal, one tabloid declared, painting a picture of decadence and corruption. Fans posted side-by-side photos of Durk's flashy Instagram posts and the leaked evidence, using them as proof that the rapper was living a double life. Public reaction to this was explosive. Some were disgusted, calling it proof of arrogance and guilt. Others shrugged it off, arguing that rap stars are supposed to flaunt wealth. It's part of the culture. But the fact that people were even debating, it showed how far the scandal had spread. What started as a courtroom issue had now become a cultural conversation, touching on art, race, money, fame, and morality all at once. And through it all, Durk himself remained mostly silent. Locked away, with limited access to the outside world, his absence only made the story louder. Fans clung to every scrap of information, every leaked phone call, every lawyer statement. His silence became a canvas for projection, with people painting their own narratives on top of it. That the scandal breakdown was no longer just about facts, it was about perception. And in the court of public opinion, perception often hits harder than evidence. Durk's reputation was on trial long before the jury ever assembled, and every new rumor, every news source, every new reaction piled onto the mountain of drama. Which brings us to the next chapter, the fallout. Because when scandals grow this big, they don't just stay in headlines. They ripple outward, touching careers, industries, and entire communities. And as the storm around Lil Durk's trial intensified, the fallout was impossible to ignore. When a scandal snowballs this big, the fallout isn't limited to headlines. It bleeds into careers, partnerships, money, and the very culture that built the artist in the first place. For Lil Durk, the murder-for-hire case has become more than a trial. It's a ripple effect crashing across the entire rap industry. The first consequence was immediate. Money started drying up. Promoters who once fought tooth and nail to book Durk suddenly backed off. One source whispered that a major festival quietly pulled his name off the draft lineup, worried about the optics of putting an alleged criminal mastermind on their stage. Another insider swore that a sponsorship deal worth millions froze overnight. Nobody wants to touch him until this blows over, the source claimed. And in the world of celebrity, perception is everything. Even rumors can cost more than facts ever will. Then came the industry side-eye. Collaborators who once called Durk their brother began going silent. Some unfollowed him on social media, others avoided mentioning his name altogether. Silence spoke volumes, and fans noticed. Funny how everyone was OTF until the charges dropped. One viral tweet read, sparking debate about loyalty in the rap game. Was the silence self-protection, or was it proof that even his peers believed the allegations? Either way, the fallout was clear. Durk was becoming radioactive. Meanwhile, whispers of government investigation spread like wildfire. Anonymous reports claimed federal agencies were digging into his businesses, his label OTF, even his charity work. Was it real? No one could say for sure. But the idea of investigators combing through every receipt, every deal, every dollar made the drama even juicier. Bloggers gleefully speculated about offshore accounts, hidden assets, and shadowy business partners. Theories piled higher than evidence. But in the court of public opinion, theories were enough. And then there was the lawsuit. A wrongful death suit, filed in civil court, dragged Durk's name further into controversy. Lawyers painted him as more than an artist. They portrayed him as the mastermind of a network that blurred the line between music and crime. This isn't just negligence, one headline screamed. This is orchestration. Fans who had been defending him suddenly found themselves facing uncomfortable questions. Could all of this really be coincidence? Public backlash grew louder. Supporters still rallied, insisting he was a victim of a system determined to take down successful black men. But critics sharpened their knives, calling him proof that fame and fortune can't hide the truth forever. The divide was everywhere. Twitter threads, YouTube debates, TikTok breakdowns. On one side, hashtags like #FreeDurk trended. On the other, people demanded accountability, pushing #DurkExposed. The culture split in half, and the arguments became as much about identity and loyalty as about guilt or innocence. The consequences reached beyond Durk himself. OTF, once seen as a powerhouse label, came under heavy scrutiny. Artists affiliated with him were questioned in interviews, dragged on social media, and forced to defend their loyalty. Some distanced themselves while others doubled down, proudly declaring their support. Either way, the brand was tainted, its reputation tied directly to Durk's scandal. The legal fallout grew messier too. Prosecutors hinted at expanding the case, with whispers of new indictments. Some speculated that plea deals were being discussed, that Durk might be pressured to cooperate in exchange for leniency. Imagine the chaos if that ever became public. The very idea of him being labeled a snitch would shatter the carefully crafted image he built in the streets. The tension was palpable, and every headline added fuel to the fire. But perhaps the biggest consequence of all was cultural. Drill music itself was dragged back into the spotlight, demonized by commentators who saw Durk's case as proof of their long-held suspicions. Politicians pointed fingers, blaming the genre for glorifying violence. Talk shows debated whether rap should be censored, whether lyrics should be admissible in court. Suddenly, the trial wasn't just about Durk, it was about an entire culture on trial. And the stakes couldn't have been higher. The irony is that even in the middle of all this chaos, Durk's influence didn't disappear, it grew. Streams of his old songs spiked. People replayed his interviews, dissected his bars, searched for hidden meanings. His absence made him larger than life, a ghost haunting the very culture he helped shape. For his fans, defending him became a badge of honor. For his critics, condemning him became a crusade. Either way, his name stayed in everyone's mouth. And in the entertainment industry, that's power. But power doesn't erase consequences. Locked away, cut off from the stage, facing charges that could put him away for decades, Durk's career hangs by a thread. Every day brings new speculation, new drama, new fallout. Some say he'll beat the case, that he'll walk free and reclaim his throne. Others say this is the endgame, the scandal that finally topples the OTF empire. And that's the real consequence of this saga: uncertainty. Fans don't know whether to prepare for a comeback tour or a sentencing date. Labels don't know whether to invest or to pull out. The culture doesn't know whether to crown him a martyr or condemn him as a cautionary tale. And that uncertainty keeps the story alive, fueling the machine that turns scandal into spectacle. So what's next? Will new evidence surface, tipping the scales one way or the other? Will more charges pile on, or will the case collapse under the weight of speculation? Will Durk rise from the ashes, stronger than ever? Or will this be the scandal that cements his downfall? Whatever the outcome, one thing is undeniable: the fallout from this trial will echo far beyond Lil Durk himself. It will shape the rap industry, the legal system, and the culture for years to come. Because when an artist this big, this controversial, and this influential faces consequences this severe, the story doesn't just end, it evolves. And as the world watches, waits, and argues, one truth remains clear: Lil Durk's name will not fade quietly into the background. Love him or hate him, believe him or condemn him, his story has become too big to ignore. And the fallout? It's only just beginning. And there you have it, the chaos, the scandal, the fallout. Lil Durk's murder for hire trial isn't just another celebrity headline. It's the kind of story that rewrites careers, destroys reputations, and keeps fans arguing long after the courtroom doors close. Bond denied, new charges added, rumors of financial leaks, civil lawsuits, and a culture war over rap itself. This isn't just a case, it's a spectacle. But the real question is this: what do you believe? Is Lil Durk the victim of a system that's always targeted rappers, turning their art into evidence and their success into suspicion? Or is this the moment the mask finally slips, exposing the truth behind the legend? Is he fighting for justice or just fighting to keep the empire alive a little longer? Because one thing's for sure, the world is watching. Every headline, every leak, every rumor only adds to the fire. And whether you're a diehard supporter chanting Free Durk or a skeptic waiting for the verdict, you can't look away. That's the power of scandal. It traps us all. So now I'm asking you, our Spillora family, what's your take? Do you think Lil Durk can survive this storm, or is this the end of the OTF empire as we know it? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Let's see where you stand in this never-ending debate. And don't forget, hit that like button, smash subscribe, and turn on notifications. Because here at Spillora, we break down the stories others are too afraid to touch. The next scandal, the next leak, the next jaw-dropping headline, it's coming. And you'll want to hear it here first. Until then, stay tuned, stay sharp, and remember, in the world of fame, nothing is ever as it seems.